The direct answer to Peter's question is Catholic social teaching will be the topic of next week's session. It revolves around three encyclicals, 1891, 1931, and 1991. Rerum Novarum, Quadragesimo Anno, 40 years, and Centesimo Anno, 100 years. Three respective popes over the course of a century have laid down the basic components, which rest on three pillars, each of which will be the topic of 2 lectures as we complete the sequence of 8. The first of those is human dignity. And human dignity means something radically different before you start producing artificial humans. So under electric conditions, print conditions, Scrabble conditions, the question of human dignity had a variety of dimensions to it, which have now been radically transformed. Digital Catholic social teaching must deal with human dignity in a world filled with robots who are not humans, who are going to express their own dignities and their own rights. And so what it means to be human is the question that arises, and the answer around human dignity, I believe, is the most coherent answer to that question, because it requires us to remember that we have a soul, which robots cannot have. Secondly, the question of subsidiarity. That's the second pillar of Catholic social teaching. Subsidiarity meant one thing in the early 20th century under electric conditions. Distributism was the basic answer to that question. It means something radically different under digital conditions. So we are now capable of organizing society using digital technology in ways that were never possible before. Obviously, we all carry around the Library of Alexandria in our pocket, so we could self-educate. A population that is self-educated would never put up with the world in which we currently live. They throw their hands up in the air. They try to figure out some other place. The massive number of efforts by people to go off and start their own places. This is not just DAOs. This is Hawaii wanting to leave the United States. This is a whole series of efforts where people are saying, I'm just not going to put up with it anymore. I'm not going to participate anymore. I'm going to start my own new thing now. This is a very widespread view at this point. And so how we organize ourselves, and in particular, how we deal with the principle of subsidiarity, which is to say, everything should be delegated, the responsibility. It's usually expressed in terms of decision-making. So it winds up becoming this kind of who gets to vote on this and so forth. I think responsibility is far more the point here. We're going to come to a recognition that there are some things we're not responsible for and shouldn't be expected to be. As a result of that, what we now call democracy cannot be sustained. Every time you hear somebody promote democracy, you know they're talking about something that's already gone. No one believes in that anymore, other than for ideological reasons. So as we move to a situation in which digital technology allows us to reorganize society such that we can distribute responsibility where it belongs, that winds up being of radically different economics, radically different political economics. And thirdly, solidarity. How is it that all of humanity can live together in peace? And given the differences between us, which cannot be swept under the rug, given the fact that we don't all have the same cultures, given the fact that we are, in Francis' terms, living in a polyhedral global world, how do we deal with that? And that is a question that has never arisen before, other than various efforts to try to reduce to one universality or another, which is completely impossible under digital conditions. So anybody who steps forward and says they have the universal solution, my guess is that most smart people will say, no, you don't. There will be multiple solutions, and yet there is a solidarity that must underpin that. So in all of these respects, human dignity, subsidiarity, solidarity, each of which will be the topic of 2 sessions as we can round out the total of 8. They wind up being principles that have radically different expression under digital conditions. Hope that was helpful.